Welcome to Medtalks, your go-to source for health information and medical insights. I'm your host, Juvenava, and we are bringing you the latest in healthcare. Whether you're looking to understand the basics of wellness, gain practical tips for everyday health, or learn about community resources available to help you live a healthier and happier life, Medtalks has you covered. Join us on this journey to better health, and remember, a healthier you starts with a single conversation. Stay informed, stay healthy with Medtalks, where every talk is a step towards a better you.
Grace Med Health Clinic is your home for complete compassionate care. From medical visits to vision screenings, dental care, and a fully equipped pharmacy, our dedicated team of providers and staff work together to make every visit welcoming and stress-free, because at Grace Med, you're not just a patient, you're part of our family. Call 316-866-2000 to schedule an appointment. Grace Med Health Clinic, compassionate care for all.
Welcome, guys, to another episode of Medtalks. I'm Juvenava, Director of Community Outreach and Communications here at Grace Med Health Clinic, and I'm welcoming Heather with Deaconess Pregnancy and Adoption. Hi, Heather. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us.
This is a privilege. Thank you.
I am really excited to interview you because I'll be honest, I have not heard much about Deaconess Pregnancy and Adoption, and I'm really interested in this subject because I do have friends who have adopted, and I know there's a lot of misconceptions about adoption or even about pregnancy support, and so I'm really excited to listen to you and hear about what Deaconess Center does, and so excited to talk to you.
Absolutely.
So before we start, tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you become part of this space?
So I went into social work for my profession many years ago and really wanted to work with kids. That was kind of what drew me to it. But I did an internship at an adoption agency and I fell in love with it. And I really had no idea how much I would love the women that we would work with.
Yeah.
And so that was really kind of set a course for my life. So I've been at Deaconess now for almost 14 years.
Wow.
And I've been working in adoption for almost 20.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. You don't hear much about people staying so long at an organization, especially a nonprofit organization. And what's so great about your organization is that it's also faith-based, very much like Grace Med. Talk to me a little bit about the mission and the work that Deaconess provides.
Absolutely. So one of the reasons that you may not really have heard much about us is we're new to Wichita. So we have been in Kansas since November of 2025.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's great to be here. However, our story really started in Kansas in November of 1884 when the Wichita Rescue Home was formed by a group of deaconesses.
Okay.
They later moved in 1900 to Oklahoma to start what would become Deaconess Pregnancy and Adoption in Oklahoma. And so it's been really neat for 141 years later to come back to Kansas and get to serve here again. So that's why we're new to the area. So we're so glad to be here. But our primary service is to serve women that find themselves in an unexpected pregnancy. And then our goal is to really have a relationship with them and to help them process their options. I think oftentimes women think they have two choices when they're pregnant and don't know what to do. They can either parent the baby or they can have an abortion. And so our goal is really to empower women with information to know that adoption is an option for them. And what adoption looks like is often, there's a lot of misinformation, like you said.
Right.
And oftentimes women are worried that it's going to be like foster care. And those are involuntary adoptions. And what we're doing are voluntary placements.
Okay.
And so we really are able to serve women and they have a lot of control in the process. So our services to moms start when you call us, when you're 8 weeks pregnant, when you call us from the hospital and you've already had the baby, anytime we hear from you. But our goal is going to be to meet you with compassion and care and information and then walk with you through that journey.
I love that. And I'm glad you mentioned the services that you do provide, because I can imagine that women who are in this situation are very high on emotions and they could be scared and don't know what to do. And there could be so much stress that adds to this. Talk to me a little bit more about how does your organization step in to sort of just, support them during this time when emotions can be going high and there's so much confusion and questions. Like, how does Deaconess come in to provide that support?
Yeah. Well, our hope is that we come in with the peace and presence of Christ that would bring the level of emotional tension down. But our hope would be that we would meet you in that point of crisis, because I think when we're in crisis, we're kind of in the survival mode, and all we're thinking about is like, how do I deal with this moment? I'm not able to think forward in that state. So our hope would be that through relationship, we're helping you slow down and process. Okay, so yes, you're pregnant. Yes, it's overwhelming, but there are things that you can do, and there are people that will walk with you. I think so many of the moms that we serve are alone. They don't have support from family or friends, and or they have people that have made a lot of promises to them that they haven't followed through. And so it can be really hard to trust that somebody's going to stick with you. And so our goal is to really prove ourselves to be trustworthy, that you can believe us when we say we're going to be there. So we really try to offer services to moms lifelong, beyond whether or not they make that adoption plan. So we have retreats and events and support groups for moms that have placed, so that they can be with other women that have gone through the same journey and help them build community in that way too.
So when they have this unexpected pregnancy, how do they get referred to your organization, or how do they find you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So they can contact us directly. We have our website. It's dpadoption.org. We also have a website called adoptionis.love, and they can search information there about adoption with no pressure. They can call us and meet with us directly. They can choose to work with us for months and then decide to parent. So there's never any pressure to make that adoption plan. We also partner with pregnancy centers in the community and places like Grace Med, and are happy to have referrals through a community partner like that as well. But we have a 24-hour pregnancy hotline, and they can call that number at any time or text that number, and we will come.
I love that. Since you are new to the area, what methods are you using to partner up with local organizations, so that way women can find you and use these services?
Yeah. So we've made an investment in like traditional marketing here in town, so that hopefully the awareness of us is increased. But then we've also just been meeting with agencies and going door to door and talking to people about what we do and who we are and how we serve, so that people know. Again, it's the same principle of trust applies in partnering with other organizations. And so Grace Med was actually one of the first organizations I got connected with when we were planning to come up here last year, and y'all have been so kind to us. And so it was great.
It's really important for us to build these partnerships and these relationships so that we can serve our community to the best. And so I can also imagine that when they are meeting with you and they have these questions and these fears, what sort of misinformation are they that you see is very rapid, or just there's just a lot of misinformation out there that you feel like you have to sort of like just cut out and say, like, these are the facts?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the biggest things I think is that women often fear that it's like a DHS or DCF adoption where they didn't have any control. Their children were removed from them. They don't know where they're placed. They don't get to see their kids. And so that would be an involuntary situation. What we're talking about is a voluntary plan where they have full control. So they get to determine if they want to make an adoption plan. They get to decide who they want to place their child with. So they would get to see profiles of adoptive families and select the family that they feel is the best fit for their child. And then they also get to determine what kind of relationship they want ongoing with their child. And I think we call that openness in an adoption. So that can look like a lot of different things. You could have a completely closed adoption where you don't get any information, you don't have any contact, and that is available to a mom. However, most of our moms choose to have some form of openness. So maybe they just want to get pictures and updates about the baby through the agency, and we send that to you every month. Or many of our moms choose that they would also like to have visits with their child ongoing. So typically that's going to be 2 to 4 times a year. They get together and meet. We will mediate those visits if that's what people are comfortable with, and one of our staff will be there. Most of the time what happens is as they get to know one another and get comfortable, they'll be like, hey, we don't need mediation. We're going to go to the zoo together, whatever that looks like. And they really do become a family, an extended family relationship in most situations. But women have the option on what that looks like. And so we want to help moms kind of walk through that process. So I think in terms of misinformation, many women think, I'm giving away my baby. I don't have any right to see them or know anything about them. And that's just not that's not the case.
Yeah.
We really don't believe that you're giving away your baby. We believe that you're choosing to make an adoption plan because you love your child and you
Yeah.
think this is what's best for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think adoption is difficult because it's
Right.
a permanent decision based on your current circumstances.
Exactly.
So in 5 years, if you're in a different place and you're like, I could do it now,
Yeah.
you can't change your mind.
Right.
And so we really try to meet women in processing what that's going to look like and feel
Mm-hmm.
like. And I think that can sometimes be some misinformation as well for moms,
Yeah.
just about there is grief, but there's also hope.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I can imagine that during this journey, there's a lot of support that they need.
Mhm.
What's one need that you see is like the highest need at that time of during this adoption journey?
Honestly, I think it's community
Okay.
and people that walk
Yeah.
with you. And so I have had several women that have given me the honor of inviting me into their delivery room, and I've gotten to be with them as their baby's born.
Mm-hmm.
And I am so grateful for those experiences, but I know that it's because they often didn't have anyone else in their life that they
Yeah.
trusted to step into that space with them. So I think it's just having somebody that will walk through it with you and will care
Mm-hmm.
for you. I think that can be the biggest need because often women feel so alone.
Yeah, I get that. When they finally decide to give the adoption
Mhm.
and they do the adoption, is there any kind of services that is provided to them after that? Like any sort of like post-adoption services?
Through us, yes.
Okay.
So if you can place through an agency or an adoption attorney. No matter what kind of adoption you do, you should look for post-adoption support.
Mm-hmm.
There's some great online resources for that, but we offer that in person. So
That's awesome.
any mom that we work with is assigned one of our adoption specialists,
Mm-hmm.
and that worker works with you throughout your pregnancy and then ongoing.
Okay.
We have several members of our staff that have been at Deaconess for 20 years. So people, we love the work we do and we stay around.
Yeah.
And so our goal would again be to just walk with them lifelong. And so that post-adoption support can be that one-on-one connection. It
Mm-hmm.
also can be our events. Like we do a retreat for birth moms every October,
Yeah.
and we go away for the weekend and they get to be with other women that have walked through that and they get pampered. And so we do some things like that. And we also do things like support groups and
I love
Christmas
that.
parties and things like that.
Awesome. Heather, I've been at Gracemed for 15 years.
Okay.
You've been at Deaconess for 14.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, we do this because of our hearts and
Yeah.
our passion.
Yeah.
Is there a story that comes into mind that you would mind sharing with our listeners without sharing any personal information?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many that flood my mind when you say that.
Yeah.
I would say there was a mom that I got the chance to work with many years ago who was a victim of sexual assault. And that was really the primary reason that she chose adoption,
Mm-hmm.
because of the trauma associated with the pregnancy.
Yeah.
And so she, she trusted us and she trusted this adoptive family, and she chose to meet them in the hospital, but she did not want ongoing contact.
Yeah.
And so over the years, the family faithfully sent updates and pictures for her, and we would hold them in her file.
Mm-hmm.
And the child had gotten to an age where he had started drawing her pictures and writing her letters and things like that. And we kept those in the file for her. And so one year she called me out of the blue after several years, and she had gotten married and had a baby. And she said, I'm just really worried about him.
Yeah.
And so through that, I was able, because of that family's faithfulness, I was able to give her those letters and
awesome.
read her updates on how he was doing, and just the peace that brought her
Yeah.
to know that he was okay and that she'd made the right decision for him. That's a moment that really stuck with me
Oh
over the
my
years.
gosh, that like warmed my
Yeah.
heart. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
incredible. Being a nonprofit, we can imagine, I mean, we know that
Sure.
we need community support to do the
Absolutely.
work that we do.
Yeah.
If we have listeners who want to support your agency because of the great work that you're doing, what can they do to help support?
Absolutely. So you can always donate on our website. There's a form there, and we would love to have you do that. We have a program called the Hope 360 program, and that's our monthly giving program.
Yeah.
And if you give $30 a month, by the end of the year, it's 360, a full circle. You've helped us wrap around the circle of care around the women and children and families we serve. And then we also are planning to have an event here in Wichita in the spring of 27. And so we would love any kind of community or corporate sponsorships for that event as well. So
That's
those would be great
awesome.
ways. But thank you for that, because we need the support in order to keep doing the mission.
Exactly. Just like us, we always have these ideas that we want to achieve in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
What does Deaconess want to achieve in the next 5 years?
Well, we would really love to be able to expand our presence here in Kansas. So our goal is really to have enough staff here that we can serve the whole state. In our Oklahoma office, we serve the whole state. And so that's really The vision for us is that we would stretch beyond Wichita and southern Kansas, but we want to do that well because we care about that in-person relational ministry. So that would be the big thing for us ongoing. That's our next big goal.
Well, it speaks volumes that your organization has existed for over 100 years.
Thank you.
So it just talks about the work that you are doing. And I know from just a community standpoint, we appreciate everything that you're doing and that your organization does for those in need. Heather, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been great.
If people want more information, remind us again what your website link is.
Absolutely. It's dpadoption.org.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Heather.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for listening to another episode, and I will talk to you and see you soon. Bye-bye.